Reaperman here with something just a little bit more modern. I'd actually tried to have a look at this game. This is Forza 7, by the way. Tried to have a look at it about 6 months ago, and it was just too infuriating, and I was just way too negative about this game. It wouldn't launch unless I tied my Xbox account to all of my Microsoft accounts and my computer account for some reason. So I had to do a little trick to get it to launch every time. None of the cars drove right. My wheel didn't feel right. I eventually got the wheel dialed in, but the cars were just terrible, and they are still terrible. I don't know if any of them feel quite right. I grabbed my car here, and I know it's a race version of my car, so it's going to have stiffer suspension on it. But the ratio from front to rear was so wrong that the car would just plow on, like it was understeering badly. So I went over to the Flying Miata website and I grabbed their spring rate information and I grabbed their alignment information. I got something that feels somewhat right. This car claims to have a limited slip differential, but I don't quite believe that. Even though I see the setup information in there, it looks kind of like voodoo, like it's not really working. Let's go ahead and let's get this car out on the track. I don't expect to win this race by any stretch. Well, actually, maybe, because I started in the front here. I will give the game that it does look nice, and now that I've got the car dialed in, I can actually change velocity in corners where before trail braking was just kind of not going to happen on this. And let's slow down a bit. But this is the first full-on Forza game available for PC, and for that I am happy. I'm also happy that it takes my wheel here. I'm using an old Logitech G25 that I actually bought for Forza 4 back on the PlayStation 2. It's a very nice wheel. Sorry, Forza 4? I meant to say Gran Turismo 4 there. Little bit of a distraction there, and the front end went again. It does that occasionally under braking in this car. I'm not exactly sure why the front end just goes all funny sometimes. And it's not traction control, it's not stability control. I've got those off. And I tried the simulation steering, and that didn't feel like anything resembling a car, so I'm back to normal steering. Which I would have thought normal steering would be optimized for a gamepad, but it seems to really smooth things out a bit. There's also a weird kind of force feedback this game does during understeer, and that's just awful. I guess I kind of wish I started farther back in the pack of cars, because I don't think I'm going to ever see another car again. I think I'm just having a pleasant Sunday drive and talking about Forza. So I remember I tremendously enjoyed Forza 1 on the original Xbox, which we used to call the Xbox One, but now they took that from us, I suppose. It was really nice in that it had a very nice damage model for a game that primitive, and it had fun little tracks. Well, like this track right here. This is actually an original track. There's no course anywhere in the world like this, and I really enjoyed this little track. I really enjoyed when Gran Turismo did this kind of thing too, and I think there's too much of a focus on realism in these simcade titles. But they never seem to really nail it. Like, it took me so long to get this car driving right, I just can't trust that any other car in the game drives right. And it's not like it's just this car. All of the Miatas, they have a weird front to rear balance problem on them that makes them all kind of plow. I'm not sure exactly what causes that. But now that I've got my car dialed in and I have a copy of Forza Motorsport that supports exactly one car properly, I'm actually kind of enjoying it. It's a whole lot cheaper to bash this car around the track than burn through a set of tires on on mine. The nice thing about a Miata is, as you approach and even exceed the limits, it's supposed to always feel like a Miata. This game kind of has a little bit of that, but as you get up into the 95%, it starts to, I don't know, feel like a front-wheel drive car. It's just weird. Oh, they're making my little wipers vibrate. That's a cute little touch in this game. It's the little touches, I tell you. And when I do race, I do like to go with the automatics. I just like to reduce my cockpit load a little bit. This game also seems to assume that I've made all of my gear shifts in full manual mode with the clutch here in about the worst way possible. It would be impossible for me to say change gear in this corner here at only 80 miles an hour. It would just assume that I completely butchered the clutch action on it, and it would just spin me off. So it's a lot better to drive in manual, I think, and the game seems to not punish anybody for it. I know in old school racing games, I kind of liked how you got a little bit faster car when you went with the manual transmission options, but that's really not the case anymore. Ooh. This is actually one of the trickier corners in here for this car because it pushes the grip of the front wheels kind of to the limit. And then I get this weird kind of pushing. Oh well, though. This is actually going to be a tremendously boring video, I suppose. I might not even upload the thing. I'm kind of mostly doing it to test out my capture gear, which has developed a nasty flicker. I'm not sure if you noticed it over the last couple of my videos there, but I sure have. It kind of picked it up during that Mario Brothers live stream I did. It's really kind of obnoxious. I've actually made an adjustment to the setting in there. I'm using the stream engine versus the regular engine to see if that helps a little bit. And I am tethered, so maybe the stream engine is the way to go. Wow, I'm looking in the mini-map there, and I'm not even seeing the other cars. This is... maybe I can lap some of them, I suppose. I don't know why it started me in the front of the pack. So generally, if it starts me in the front of the pack, I win the race. If it starts me not in the front of the pack, I get into the kill zone and I get kind of knocked around enough to where, I don't know, I don't win the race. Sometimes I just get too frustrated to even finish it. Yeah, I really have to say, now that I've got Forza 7 tuned in on this one car, I'm really enjoying myself. And that I've seen, this is the only car I've had that's in Forza 7. I had a few more cars from Forza 4. I'm kind of surprised that the wife's Mark 7 GTI isn't in this game. I mean, if I remember right, Forza 4 even had her old Saab 9.3 in it. That was a nice car. The GTI is not a nice car. It's our new car, we're still paying on it, but it's not a nice car. Doesn't encourage fast driving, doesn't encourage any driving, really. Also, got about 12,000 miles on it, and at 10,000 miles it needed a new clutch. Seems like they didn't put enough clutch in. Luckily the dealer took care of that. I doubt they will next time though, and I think there will be a next time, so we'll have to look into upgraded clutches. And I doubt this thing's ever really going to go to the dealer if they ever start charging us money there. The Miata's actually quite reliable though. Shockingly so for a 13-year-old car. Granted, mine's got a lot of upgrades put on it, and those upgrades are there because the old parts were starting to wear out, like the suspension. So the reason I chose the Forza 7, or the Flying Miata, the other FM, the reason I chose the Flying Miata numbers for the game is what's on my car. Now, I couldn't really find good numbers, nor do I think there really are good numbers for the dampers I have on it, or for the sway bars. Like when I look up sway bar specifics, I get, measurements in inches, and games always seem to want them in pounds or something, and I'm not really sure they convert over too well. But at least I got the alignment in here, and the much softer springs. And the back end, of course, is much softer than the front. I actually run slightly softer in the damper than Flying Miata recommends, because when I set it up with their default, the back end was actually gripping a little too much, and it didn't inspire me. I mean, it didn't have the nice, safe feeling of just impending oversteer that you usually get with a Miata, where you can just kind of play with it up to and past the edge. I've got my secondary monitor with the capture device, and I think I'm seeing it flickering. That would be a bummer. So yeah, I bought this wheel way back for Gran Turismo 4. And I actually used it for Gran Turismo 5 and 6. I don't believe it works with the newer Gran Turismos. I don't think the PlayStation 4 plays with G25 anymore for some reason. I know Xbox doesn't. Xbox, you buy a wheel, you buy it for a generation, you're pretty much boned. They got me that way a little bit. I mean, it's absolutely a complete waste of money to buy an Xbox wheel, especially with Forza on PC now. I gotta say, this car is handling an awful lot like I feel like it should. There's everybody crossing over the bridge. The kill zone, so to speak. This is one of those games where the AI drivers seem to respect your space up to a point, but they don't really, they punish you an awful lot. And they seem to have moods. I think that was always a Forza thing, that the fake drivers had different little moods. Oh, what's that bad one? Like M. Rossi or something? Okay, so this has been kind of just a nice little Forza Motorsport 7 test video, and if I like the way it goes, I may kind of make this a regular thing. I may take it online and such. I haven't really decided yet. I also haven't fully decided if this game infuriates me still. It does seem to launch, I'll give it that. Oh, there's the rest of them. All MX-5s, of course. I should really give it some other Class D cars to race against. That would make for a little bit more entertainment here, I suppose.